With us now for a perspective of oil and energy, we have a CEO sit-down. He is the head of Magnum Hunter Resources, the oil and gas company's stock up 130% since last year. Gary Evans. Gary, good to have you with us on Bloomberg.
Thank you for having me on your show today.
Now, let's begin. Before we get to the details of Magnum Hunter, give us a little bit of perspective. Are you surprised by the increase in the price of oil, 14% so far this year? Is it a supply issue, a demand issue? Why do you think the price is going up, and do you think it's going to continue?
I actually predicted oil will be over $100 a barrel about a year ago. I forgot I'd actually made that prediction until some friends started reminding me. But we're in a situation where it's both supply and demand. We've got the eastern countries like China and India with an ever-ending thirst for crude oil. And then we've got a limited supply coming out of the Middle East. And so even though we're making great strides here in the United States with unconventional resource plays like the Bakken and the Marcellus and the Eagle Ford, we aren't even making a dent in what's really needed. And so when you have the unrest over in Libya that's going on today, the unrest in Egypt several weeks ago, there's about 1.5 million barrels off the market. The excess or spare capacity of OPEC today is probably less than 2 million barrels a day. And so we're in for another oil shock if things keep continuing like they are over the Middle East. We're actually up on price 40% from August of last year.
Now, Gary, as you said, you made the prediction last year about $100 a barrel oil. So you have a prediction for this year?
Well, it all depends on what happens in the Middle East. The thing that's got all of us and should have all Americans concerned is Saudi Arabia is our primary producer in OPEC. They produce probably today over 9 million barrels of crude oil production, and they're the ones with this spare capacity of 1.5 million to 2 million barrels a day at most. And if this unrest continues over into Saudi Arabia, then we're all for a major oil shock. So I'm hoping, I really don't want to see that because it's bad for our economy, it's bad for our country. I'm hoping that prices stabilize here in this $100 a barrel range. But remember, just in June of 2008, we had $148 oil. So we've been there before.
Gary Evans, talk about Magnum Hunter now and how technology has transformed not only Magnum Hunter, but also the domestic oil industry, the energy business in the United States. This is as much a technology story as it is an energy story.
You're exactly right. We've come up with some great ways to better drill wells. Today, almost all wells drilled in the United States are drilled horizontally rather than laterally or vertically. And so the horizontal ability to now go out further and further on extended laterals, and then using fracture stimulation techniques that we didn't have 2 and 3 years ago. So what we're able to do is open up reservoirs that typically we knew they were there, but the oil and gas was trapped in the rock. And today, by drilling these wells laterally and horizontally, and by doing more fracture stimulation techniques on each interval, we can produce properties that we never dreamed we could produce before. So that in itself has created a huge boom in our business, both on the service side and the E&P exploration side. And we believe that with this new technology, we've now got this wonderful resource of natural gas that this country and our politicians don't appear to understand. We've got a 100 to 200 year natural gas supply, which would fix a lot of the problems we have today with crude oil prices.
Now, having said that and highlighted the new fracturing technology that allows you to drill wells horizontally, there's also the environmental issue that you've got to deal with. What do you think the outlook is for dealing with the pollution and the potential environmental issues? Has the industry come to terms with that?
Well, you know, it's a great question you ask. In fact, I had lunch today with one of our board members whose name is Victor Carrillo. He's a former chairman of the Texas Railroad Commission, and we talked about this very subject. And as an 8-year chairman of our commission that governs the oil and gas industry here in Texas, he has never seen one single case where fracture stimulation contaminated a water zone. And we have all this propaganda coming out of Hollywood about drinking water being contaminated with fracture stimulation. How can that happen when we have a water zones at 200, 400, 500 feet depth? We completely cement the casing in, and we're fracture stimulating at 10,000 feet. It's just physically not possible.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, but I want to thank you very much, Gary Evans. He's the chief executive of Magnum Hunter Resources, giving us some insights into domestic energy production.